just took our panel to a whole nother level. Girl.
I'm over here like, what the heck is going on?
I'm just going with the flow, though.
Look at that face.
Like, what? The projection got me a little worried because, I talk so soft.
Me too. They're going to have to lean in.
Yeah. Open your ears up.
The microphones aren't connected to speakers. They're just connected to them, right?
Oh, is that what he's saying? The microphones aren't projected.
Right, there's no speaker.
Oh, wow.
We have to project.
You gotta project. Oh, I gotta yell at people now? Oh, God. All right, fine.
That's awesome. But another reason why it was good to just not do the video. Yeah.
Good try.
Yeah, good call.
All right, if I can have everyone's attention. Hello. Can everyone hear me? If you can hear me all the way in the back.
If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. All right, we're about to get started so that everybody can either have a seat or please just shift yourself down a little bit, okay? I'm gonna let her take over. I was just here to get your attention. All right, bye.
Thank you, Howard.
All right, hello everyone. We're gonna get started with our first panel, which is the legacy of hair. My name is Jocelyn Ferguson, and I'm gonna be moderating today's panel. I'm super excited to talk with you guys. Can you guys hear me okay? Again, if you guys can move up forward or we can go ahead and get settled, we're gonna go ahead and get started now. All right, so today we're gonna talk about the legacy of hair. Again, my name is Jocelyn Ferguson. I'm gonna be moderating today. I'm super excited to moderate this panel because I myself have a company that's focused on building and preserving history. And when I think about legacy, the first word that comes to mind is history. History is the root of legacy, right? How are we telling stories and passing them on to the next generations? And how have stories been passed on to us? So I'm super excited to sit here with this panel of amazing entrepreneurs and business owners in the hair care space and talk to them a little bit about what they're doing here in Tulsa and beyond. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panel. I'll start in the middle here with TJ Woodbury. TJ owns Silk Hair Salon, which is just a couple streets over that way. And we'll get into all the details during our conversation. But Silk Hair Salon is basically sponsoring this panel. And so we're super excited because Silk is a luxury hair care salon servicing all different hair types and textures. And so make sure that afterwards you come up to us and get one of these really nifty coupons. You'll be able to get 15% off. But Silk Hair Salon is down the way, but TJ not only owns Silk Hair Salon, but she also owns Poppy's Spa and Lounge. Has anybody in the house ever been to Poppy's before? Okay, awesome. Yeah, great place. So you got to check out both. But TJ is, really taking ownership of the self-care space here in Tulsa and transforming what that hospitality looks like. Right beside me, we have Chrissy Johnson, who also goes by Chrissy K. She's a hairstylist here in Tulsa and just a real talent. She graduated from the Paul Mitchell School and has been hitting the ground ever since, really solidifying herself with natural hair care, as well as the best silk presses that you can ever imagine here in Tulsa. Not only does she run her own business and handle her own clients, but she's joined the Silk team as a stylist in residence. That means you can also book her at Silk Hair Salon. And last but not least, we've got Howard on the end. Howard just recently came to Tulsa through one of our accelerator programs called Act House. And he's got a really exciting hair care brand that he's going to tell you about that's called Tugs. But it's really, changing the landscape of what it can look like to have a wash day or have any sort of hair care experience between parent and child when you're going through and having to detangle hair. It's all about changing that experience. So we're going to get into it with each of them. But I want to start, with a fun question. to kick things off, and that is really asking each of you, what is a hairstyle, what is a hairstyle that you can recall either having as a kid, or whether it's when you're age 2, age 5, age 15, 18, whatever the case may be. But is there a particular hairstyle or moment in life where a hairstyle has made an impact on you and your experience, right? So let's think retro, let's take it back. I'll start just to kick things off, right? When I was younger, I used to love wearing 2 pigtails. Often during that time, I definitely would straighten my hair a lot. And so the process of my mom, sometimes relaxing and then blow drying and then straightening, and then we would do the pigtails, and then we would maybe braid them or add accessories, was a whole process. It would typically take a whole day. But what I loved most about that experience was the bonding time that I got to have with my mom and the creativity that we got to share together.
Yeah.
So I pose this question to each of you. Do you have a similar experience or any sort of defining moment in your hairstyle? Chrissy, I'll start with you.
Okay. I think for me, pigtails were one of those hairstyles.
Yeah.
And a mohawk. I feel like nobody really wears mohawks anymore.
Oh, my goodness.
It could be braided or it was just like buns. But it was definitely like a statement as a child. So yeah, those are my fun hairstyles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And TJ,
I can
how
see
about
the
you?
mohawk.
I can see it too. All this volume.
I loved in middle school, it was like high ponytail up with the hair down.
Oh, yeah.
You could do a little flip. That was
Yes.
like the it girl look.
Flip.
So yeah, I love the high pony.
Yeah.
Love that. And Howard, have you always had long hair, or was that
Okay,
as a
no.
kid, did
So-
you have a journey? Tell
No,
us.
I didn't start growing my hair out till like college, actually. So when I was younger, I had like the Will Smith flat top Fresh Prince situation, and it was just like way up. It was up here. It was like my mom was very, very intentional about that.
I love
And she
it.
picked out everything I wore, and so I remember having like jean pants and a jean jacket, and just everything. I was just way too much
Denim
denim.
on denim?
Yeah, denim on denim. Yeah, it's way too much. Yeah,
Denim on denim and a flat top. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. That was
iconic.
pinnacle 90s black kid.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. That was
Has to happen. All right, now let's get into the serious stuff, right? So we know with hair care, especially with black hair care, oftentimes when we talk about hair care, right, it can be politicized, it can be criticized, right? Goes through a lot of scrutiny. So my question to you guys is, can you remind the audience of what your brand is? And more importantly, tell us, as we go through, we're in 2025 now, and we're able to reclaim part of that story, right? We can talk about hair care in a positive light, right? We can claim that and build things. Why did you decide to go into hair care? Again, remind us of your business, why you went into hair care, why now, why is this your path and the legacy that you want to leave? Chrissy, I'll start with you.
Okay, so my brand is hair care focused. I do a lot of extensions, but my drive is education. Growing up, I had a relaxer like most of us did. My sister, she had super fine curly hair. And at that point, that was just deemed better, prettier.
Right.
So it's always like a distinction between the two. So that was a huge drive for my career, because I wanted to help other Black girls know your hair isn't bad, you just need education. So yeah, education is my drive. That is the overall point of my business, just to spread information, light, love, and all the things.
Yes.
So
I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
And you be doing it.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
Chrissy, also, fun fact for everyone, also has done makeup as well, and you might have seen some of her looks at Transformation Church and some of the productions they have. So
Yes.
definitely I can see how you've taken that passion and just really taken your creativity and allowed it to help you really make an impact with others. So it's really cool to see.
Yes.
TJ, Miss Business Mogul over here, what got you going in this direction?
My daughter is changing her hair every few weeks, so really I just needed a space for my daughter to get
The savings alone on that.
Right. Had to drive that cost down. No. But my brand is luxury self-care. And so my why in creating and building Silk is I wanted us to have a safe space that was grounded in luxury and intention and care. And so, yeah, I love luxury.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's one of my favorite things about Silk is this, combo of it being not only inclusive, but also being luxurious. So you get, all of the best things under one roof. And then Howard, what led you on this journey? And definitely tell us about what Tugs is and what led you down this path to create such a product.
Okay, so Tugs actually came about from my own personal experiences because, like I said earlier, I've always had like the low flat top haircut. And then when I ended up going to college, I was like in my rebellious phase a little bit. And I was like, I'm gonna let it grow out and be whatever. And then I ended up actually living overseas for a little while, and there was no one there to do my hair whatsoever. So I was in Sweden for about 4 years. And when I was living there, my hair started growing out, and I was like, I need to like tame it and like actually manage it. And then I realized how tender-headed I actually was. I met this one woman from Tobago, because it was, okay, when you live in Sweden, you walk down the street, there's like one black person, you just like, yes, you acknowledge each other, and, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I met one woman from Tobago, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna adopt you, you're gonna be my little baby. And I was like, okay, I got you, mama. And so I went over there, and she was just she was enthusiastic, So anyway, so she was taking care of my hair, and I was just like, this is so painful, I don't know how to handle this. And I called my mom back at home. She was like, I have no idea how to deal with it. We all just tolerate it, and there was no solution. So when I moved back to America, I was like, all right, I need to figure out how to actually solve this problem. And so I decided to figure this out for myself. And then when I realized that there were so many other parents who were dealing with the problem, and so many kids who had grown up with just trauma of feeling like they were a burden or feeling like they were going through, like they were the bad guy for just being themselves.
Right.
I didn't really like that. And I was just like, okay, there's a need for something like this. So I met a professor over at Dillard University, and we cooked some goo together in the kitchen. And it was just one thing after the next kind of led to where it was. So now we're in a situation where like we actually feel like we have something that will actually make a difference. So when you're dealing with your kid or even with your adult, parents who are like elderly and they don't want to do it, it takes the pain from being it takes the hair care from being like a painful, I don't want to deal with this, to being like, we can actually spend time and bond and use this time to connect versus be yelling at each other and stressed out and watching Coco Melon to distract you from the pain. Like, it's too much. So that's where I ended up with Tugs, yeah.
I love that. And so just for everyone who isn't aware, right, Tugs is really helping to solve for that aspect of, if you're tender-headed or you have those sensitivities to help alleviate that as you're getting your hair done.
Well, yeah. So basically what we did was we saw that during the process of getting your hair done is where most people feel that sense of tenderness. So what we did was we developed a serum that you can just apply it to your scalp, and it naturally just absorbs into the scalp. It naturally numbs it. It naturally makes it where now you don't feel any of the pain, any of the boo-boos, nothing like that. And you can still use your normal conditioners, your normal shampoos, whatever on top of it. So it helps to get to the root of the problem, for lack of a better word. So anyway, it helps a lot for sure. And it helps, especially when if you're a parent and you have like biracial children and you're not really sure how to handle that. I've seen a lot of parents benefit from that as well, because now it doesn't make them feel as though they're hurting their child for something that they're not educated on. It makes a difference in people's lives. At least that's what I've seen.
Yeah, and I love this because a common thread I'm seeing in what we're talking about is, Howard, from your example, right, you're living in another country and having to figure out how do I navigate, finding my community and figuring out how to find my hair care, right? TJ, you talked about looking out for your daughter. Chrissy, you mentioned earlier this idea of your hair texture being different from your sister's. And I think one of the most important things that is important for us to talk about when we talk about the legacy of hair care is this idea that, there isn't bad hair or good hair, right? These things don't exist. Everybody just needs the right tools and the right environments to help them thrive, right? And for too long, we just haven't had those resources available for all the different hair types.
Yeah.
So in that thought, when we talk about, or when we think about all of the trauma that we've all experienced and the healing that is ahead. What is the part that you're doing, or what would you like to see? How are you trying to impact that space whether it be making a safe space or, again, making products where you can help alleviate some of the pain that can come with maybe detangling certain hair types. Talk to us a little bit about how you feel what you're doing is helping to kind of heal those past traumas.
Yes. Like you said, I think I'm very intentional about creating a safe space. So I think I'm super thorough with my consultation, which isn't normal in the Black community. Like you just usually get your hair started and they'll cut it and you go home. But so I think I'm super intentional with consultation, which creates safety, because now I'm like trying to understand you, what's happened to your hair from before you got to my chair. I turn people in the mirror when I trim their hair, because cutting hair for Black women is super traumatic sometimes. Because a lot of times we've left with a bob and we just wanted a trim. So yeah, I think I'm just intentional in small things, and like if they come off the bat like my hair is horrible or my hair is bad, I like immediately try to kind of just bring it back in and just educate. So I just take every moment intentionally, creating safe spaces when I can.
That's so important. It really is. I mean, like you said, it's almost a canon event for every, Black girl that's gone into a salon and come out like, what happened here?
Even if you did need a haircut, I think you should know why or like what happened.
And especially, going back to times where we didn't have a lot of options and everyone had to get a relaxer. Didn't have to, but that was much more common simply because that was one of the few tools that we had readily available to help manage our hair. But with that would come, some damage to your ends. And so, you weren't always mentally prepared to have to take care of that in one setting. So I think it's definitely beautiful to hear that you're healing part of that process by sitting down and just making sure that your clients and you are on the same page. That's amazing. TJ, you have a whole salon. How are you creating a literal safe space?
The best thing I could have done is partner with people like Chrissy, who are really intentional about their craft and really intentional about education. And I think there's so much wrapped up in hair care, especially for Black women. Like, it's kind of our main of femininity. Like we've serviced a few clients that have traction alopecia, and just to see like the transition of the confidence at the end of that service, and like the happiness and like the just unmatched. So creating a safe space for things like that to happen is just contributing to that why.
I love that. And shameless plug here, because I also of course work with TJ on some marketing pieces for Silk, but truly getting my own hair done at Silk was a healing experience, truly, to be able to walk into a space, to have a stylist like Chrissy do my hair. It healed a lot of things inside of me to kind of undo some of those thoughts about what an experience is in a salon. So definitely can say firsthand, she knows how to create that space for people. And then Howard, you talked a little bit about this, but let's go deeper, right? Like when you think about how your product impacts and kind of levels the playing field in the sense of, okay, now no matter what texture I have, my detangling experience doesn't have to be seen as a burden to others, right? What kind of impact do you think that will have on the community?
So actually, as I was like going through the discovery process of working on this product, we actually had a few panels with parents, and they would come in and they would talk about their experiences when they were younger and how they treat their current kids when they do their hair. And we found out that there was more or less of a train of like how this is how my mom did it, this is how I do it, this is how my, and it's sort of expected of us to tolerate mistreating one another for like, and we sort of just accept it. And I felt like, at least when I spoke with these parents, what they mentioned to me was that because they never knew they had another option, they never explored any other options. And I think something that came up during the conversation was that, on average, if you calculate it, you spend over 200 hours a year with your kid, just doing their hair, bath time, just reading before bed, all that stuff. Those little moments add up, and you don't think about it in the moment because you're busy, you're going through your life, whatever. But then when you really do like calculate it out, you're like, oh, I spent 200 hours being frustrated with them. I spent 100 hours, yelling at them or hitting with the back of a broom the back of a brush or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, no, not a broom, because that's my own childhood. Ignore that. But you get my point. It's like there's so many small nuances of how we engage with one another that we don't realize add up over time.
Yeah.
And I think by eliminating that, even if you're not a parent, just your own frustration. I mean, how many times do you wake up, you're like, oh, I gotta do my own hair today, whatever, and you just don't want to because you don't have the patience, you don't want to deal with the pain, you don't want to keep your hands up for 3 hours, whatever. And you have a negative association with yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know who may believe in manifestation or healthy work, what you speak comes into existence. But if you speak about yourself a certain way, it adds up, And I just don't feel like that should be a default in anyone's life. At least that's my personal opinion.
That right there is so powerful, because even down to how we're taking care of our hair, the impact that can have on our day and our life as a whole when we're internalizing that negativity.
Yeah,
wow.
You're starting your day being frustrated, and who wants that? you know? So anyway.
Wow, no, I love that, and I think having the tools in place or having the spaces that can kind of take away, alleviate some of that stress, right, helps us to then start unpacking these past traumas and seeing hair care as a ritual, right, as a positive thing, right? So that leads me to my next question of asking each of you, do you have a hair care ritual that one thing, we don't have all day, but like, is there like one portion of your ritual or one thing that really brings you joy about your hair care experience? And we'll start with you, Howard.
Oh, I'm the wrong person to ask. I really am.
With all the long hair, like,
this is the thing. Okay. I have long hair, right? And it used to be longer. It used to be like all the way down here.
Okay.
But I cut it, and it was just so much to manage. And even though I have like my own, whatever. But but I was like, I'm still a dude, so I like to wake up and just go and not have to think. So I don't have a routine. I'm dirty. I just I get up, put it in my thing, and if I take a shower, I put it like a bun and that's it. Like I let my barber and my beautiful salon handle it, but other than that, I do not touch it. I'm a lazy. He understands. I'm lazy. I just wake up and go. That's it.
And that's a ritual, right? Is going into a salon, going to a barber, and having them.
That is my only time I think about my hair. It's when I'm in the barber and I'm having a bond with the dude and we're chatting about whatever. And but in my own life, I just get up and go. Like I make it a specific day out of my month to like this is my hair day. That's it.
I love that though. That's a ritual.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess it is my ritual. Sure, whatever it is.
And then TJ, what does it look like for you?
I'm like a cartoon character in my style. I have like 2 looks. So I'm usually wearing my silk press like this or braids. I work out a lot, so my silk press doesn't last. But my newest favorite ritual is to come into silk. With this smutted out hair from a week of not doing anything and get a silk press.
Yes.
Chrissy, it's interesting because you are a hairstylist. Give us the secrets. What's your best tips or rituals?
I think overall for me, between hair wash and just like finishing hair is like my favorite part. So when I start flipping my ends and start feathering, that's kind of where I get the happiest. But I feel like before I start doing hair and just going to the salon as a child, the hair wash, like the girl that washed my hair, she was unforgettable. And I still think about her to this day. I'm like, I want to be a good hair washer like her because she was amazing. And she did it like my whole childhood. So I guess before I was a hairstylist, just getting my hair washed was my favorite part of my ritual. And now I kind of just like finishing.
I love that. So you're all entrepreneurs up here, right? You've all gone through, starting a business in hair care and figuring out navigating that space. How would you say you stand out in the crowd, right? You talked a little bit about it, Chrissy. You said that you really make a difference for your clients in the chair. But are there other things that you do that you would say really you've said this is what's going to make me stand out from everyone else who's doing hair care?
I think just constantly learning and educating myself as I educate my clients. Never thinking I know enough or know too much. So yeah, I think being in constant education helps me to stay elevated, separated, just perfecting my craft, never thinking that I guess I'm a perfectionist. So like it could be amazing, but it could be better though. So constantly just trying to raise the bar, staying for me grounded in my faith kind of I feel like helps to separate from others, if I can say so myself. So yeah, just educating myself, staying grounded, and yeah.
I'm in constant awe of Chrissy. Like she's just a couple of years older than my daughter. Like Chrissy is a young person, but so committed to her craft.
Yes.
Always like hustling, building her brand. Y'all see her online. She's got great content.
You're such a mom.
Oh my God, yeah. Go follow now at Chrissy K Artist, right?
Yeah. But for me, my brand is just really focused and committed to service. Like I think that quality service is an art and kind of a little bit more of a lost art nowadays. And so the thing that I kind of hang my hat on is quality service and that commitment to excellence. So I hope that you enjoy your hairstyle when you leave Silk.
Yeah.
I know for sure that you are going to be treated like royalty.
Yeah.
So
Not to mention, the place looks like something out of like a magazine, like Architectural Digest. Because has anyone seen either Silk or Poppies? Okay, both are beautiful spaces, and Silk especially is such a unique. The design is just beyond, and so I think even that alone, being able to walk into a space where you're transported somewhere else, like am I in Tulsa anymore?
Literally.
That alone, it just stands out as
Yeah.
a really cool space. And then, Howard, again, somebody walks into a store, they've got a million products to choose from. How do you think you're standing out?
I think this is actually something I'm still sort of navigating, is because what I've noticed is that as I've been working on this, there are very few men in the hair care space. And even as a guy, I don't know, for some women, y'all stick together. Y'all love each other, okay? So when a guy tells you how to do your hair, you're like, I don't really trust you. So it has been a little bit difficult for me to sort of navigate that and come up in the space where like, hey, I may not be a woman who understands this from that perspective, but I'm still dealing with the same issues as anyone else. Even if because I feel like even as a young child, I can imagine there's some boys out there who deal with the same problem, but it's more like tough it out kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think in the space where I could say I sort of stand out is that I am coming with a unique perspective of not like, oh, this is a woman trying to give other women advice, but just objectively like, hey, this is a real thing that we all can handle and all have to kind of deal with, regardless of your sex or gender or whatever. At least that's my perspective. And I think also I tend to be more goofy and more like say it how it is than anything else. There's lots of women out there like that, but I think there's more of a nurturing side that comes to being a woman and taking care of each other. More I'm just like, dog, just get your life together. Like you'll be fine. Like, so anyway, but that's where I think I stand out. Is just as a guy, I have a different perspective of things for sure.
Yeah,
I love that. All right, we're getting up here on time, but I definitely want to ask each of you, when people are looking through the history books, going through the archives, and they see each of your names come up, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind in the hair care space?
Wow,
that's a very deep question.
This is deep. You can go.
Oh, no,
I was
you
just
can
gonna say,
finish.
if you want to start with someone else.
Oh, yeah, we can start with
Oh, why y'all looking at me? Oh, okay.
I'm gonna Mike Tyson it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or whoever.
Just
wants
dance
to
around
go
it?
first. Yeah. Go ahead.
Legacy. I mean, I never looked at myself as someone trying to create a legacy for myself. I always looked at it like, you don't want to. A fulfilling life in my mind is someone who can provide value. And if I'm doing my absolute best to bring value to someone, and I'm doing to the fullest extent of my talent that has been put into me, I think I'm succeeding. That's kind of how I look at it. I don't, and not to be too personal, but like when I die, I just want to know that I did a good job. At the end of the day, success and money and all that stuff is great, and it helps you, party. But when I look at it, I really just want to say like, okay, I woke up every day trying my hardest, and I touch people with that. So that's kind of where I'm looking at it from. Not necessarily legacy, but just to be my best me. So that's it.
Yeah.
So,
Same. I don't tend to think too highly of myself, but I hope that I impart kindness onto this world and my family and the next generation to come. And kind of the same thing. Like I tell my daughter all the time, like I am committed to doing my best with anything that I do. I'm like anything you do, whether you're like raking leaves, like
Yeah.
like there's no point in doing it unless you're doing your absolute best.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yes. I feel like the legacy that I want to leave is overall love. To
Yes.
put first, that you're more than your hair or your like makeup, and that I live like Jesus. I live like Christ. That's it. Those are my big three. Yeah, I think I'm just super, just about the whole person. Just hoping that I leave a legacy of love, and yeah.
I love that. And, just from my interactions with each of you, I can say that you all are certainly leaving behind a legacy. We're not looking back 20 years yet, but even in the things that you're doing right now in the current, it's just really amazing to watch. I wanted to ask the entire audience to look at what legacy means, right? Legacy can often mean, especially in the context of all the themes and the conversations we're having during this Legacy Festival, it can mean resilience, it can mean justice, it can mean, fighting for certain things, fighting against the world sometimes, fighting for what's right. But in doing that, a part of that legacy that we want to leave behind is how we treated ourselves, right? How we nourished ourselves, how we looked after ourselves so that we can fight all the good fights that are out there. So as you're going through Legacy Fest and as you're thinking about the legacy you want to leave behind, to those around you, to your family, to your children, maybe, do not forget the component of self-care. Do not forget the component of looking after yourself. Something like hair care may seem frivolous, but as we've just discussed, it's so much deeper than that, and it's important that we are pouring into those things. But yes, as I said, this conversation was brought to you by Silk Hair Salon. We've put out a few coupons and just information cards, but if you'd like one, please come up and talk to us and see us. We're super excited that you guys decided to chat with us, and we can either turn it over to questions or that's all we've got. Yes.
So if you could leave one message for the next generation of hair professionals stepping into the next phase, what would it be?
This is very specific, young lady. That's a very specific question.
I would say to go to a great school, be one license. Like I think it's so many people that's like, we just do hair, but they don't have proper education behind it. So one, to be licensed, to stay professional, to stay educated, like I keep reiterating, just to set yourself apart. But professionalism and education will be my top two. And just being a good, kind person. Just being hospitable. That's it for me. I don't know.
that is like one of the missing components, I think, in a lot of stylists.
Yeah.
Like stylists are artists, and so artists have a little bit of ego.
Yeah.
You gotta let it go.
So, we have to remember that we are in the service business. Like we are there to serve. So I think sometimes that gets lost.
Yeah, I agree with everything. Like kindness, empathy, patience. If you're waking up and you're doing something and you're not passionate about it, or you're slipping to that place where you lose your passion, take a breather and reflect on yourself, because that leaks over to the people around you and the people you serve. And I just think, yes, there's a place for making money and there's a place for like stability and all that stuff, but also how you show up in the world to other people, that's the ultimate place that you're going to end up at the end of the day. So, I agree with everything they said.
Yeah.
Love it. Any other questions? Anyone? Any questions on either hair care or Silk Hair Salon or any of the work that these talented individuals have? Is that a hand raised? Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Introduction. Yeah.
I'm Chrissy K.
And say what you do so she has context. So
Okay,
hairstylist.
got you. I'm Chrissy K. I'm a hairstylist. I work at Silk Salon and I also have my own studio. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm TJ Woodbury. I don't know how to style anything, but I own Silk Salon and Poppy's Day Spa.
My name is Howard Moore, and I am the founder of Tugs Tender Hair Care. So we eliminate tender head pain with a patent-pending serum. You just apply it, and no more oochies and ouchies and all the stuff.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay.
Any other questions or thoughts? All right, awesome. Well, thanks so much, everyone. I want to end on a fun note. Do each of you have like maybe a retro hairstyle that you'd like to see come back?
Oh God, I want to see my flat top come back.
Right?
Yeah. I want to. That's definitely what I want to see.
You can find anyone in Switzerland.
It's your flying milk for sure, definitely. For
I
sure.
want to see the '90s waterfall with the butterflies.
Yes.
With
Not the
little-
butterfly.
With a little waterfall. Maybe like a little French roll in the back. Like I want it, yeah. And bring those. Where's Mandy? Oh, Mandy's Beauty Supply. Somebody tell Mandy's Beauty Supply to get those little tiny butterfly clips.
Oh,
Yeah.
Need them back.
Yes. For me, I feel like the same. I really love the French roll. And then we've slowly been bringing that back, and just like flips, flip ups, all the things.
Yes. I'll say I love, like, I don't know if anyone has seen like the movie Sinners, but like how it's like the guys will have like the side part. In
Yeah.
I love that. I look at like baby pictures of my brother and he has a little side part. I'm like, we need to bring this back.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.